Hello and welcome to Quick Thoughts with Jeff. That's you. And Darby. This is our series where we just briefly talk about the hot news as the hot news happens.
Hot news.
You can hear us talk more in depth about said hot news at the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast, which posts every Monday on podcast services and youtube.com/nerds at large. But for right now, Jeff, what's our hot news today?
The hot news is that Spider-Man is announced for Square Enix's Marvel's Avengers.
Whoa, that's hype, Jeff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a hype thing, right?
Yeah. So there's a little caveat, Darby.
What's that?
He is only going to be on the PS4, PS5 version of the game. And he'll be launching in 21. That's
he's not at launch. There's going to be a
DLC character like Hawkeye. They've already announced. But free DLC.
No additional cost for Sony. Not coming at all for Xbox.
For everyone else.
And PC. Yeah. I didn't even think about PC. Is this game coming to PC? It's coming to PC, right? Yeah, PC. Yeah. So that sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. It just I honestly I struggle to hear an argument that this doesn't suck. I mean,
now, I've seen people try to it's fine and all this kind of stuff. If this same thing happened but on Xbox, you would all be bitching.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say when you have the platform if you don't have only an Xbox. And I don't know. I mean, it's one of these things where this type of thing, I do think this is a particularly bad case of this problem, and we'll get into why I think this specific situation is worse than some other exclusivity windows. But this general thing has been happening for years, but it kind of it almost feels like the crossplay situation. It feels like the industry is kind of moving out of this bullshit, and things that used to be back in the day used to be something that just happened. Even the Soul Calibur thing or whatever, that just used to be something that happened. If that Soul Calibur thing happens today, I'd be pissed. The Soul Calibur meaning every platform got an exclusive character.
Especially in two specifically, that's kind of legendary. The fact that GameCube had Link, Hiachi was in PlayStation, and Spawn was in Xbox.
It's so weird. I mean, that one's a little different because they're exclusive characters to that. But I don't know, just the whole thought process of we're going to, you get this game, but then it's but you bought it on the wrong platform. Because that's basically what this feels like.
People
that's
already pre-ordered the damn game.
And
they're announcing this a month before launch.
The game comes out in weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks.
You have a beta, so people lock in the pre-orders to try to play the beta, and then they're announcing this a month before launch. And in some cases, people, might have gotten on PlayStation if they knew this, but they're locked in.
Right.
There's some way, if you do it from some places, you can't get a refund on the pre-orders.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's one character in a giant this game. The way they're talking about it's going to have tons of characters just added to it.
Potentially, we don't know how many. At least right now, the most that they announced is about 10-ish. The 6 that are in the game, and then they announced Hawkeye, and then in the trailer there's a hint at 3 more. Who knows if one of those is supposed to be Spider-Man? Right. One of those emblems. So maybe about a dozen characters or whatever right now, but 1 out of 12, especially if that's going to be the ones in the first 6 months, that's kind of a big deal, especially when this is supposed to be a Marvel game, even if it's focused on the Avengers, of course, and you're locking the most popular Marvel hero, if not the most popular superhero in the world, on one console.
And I do think that's something you can't completely ignore, because this would kind of suck no matter what. But I don't think it would be as big of a deal, and kind of honestly, rightfully so, it wouldn't be a big of a deal if it wasn't for Spider-Man. I mean, it is literally the marquee Marvel hero. It's the type of hero that someone would buy this game for. And
I've seen people that are already saying that. It's I have no interest in this game. Not just from a platform standpoint, just the game in general. It's Spider-Man, cool.
I'm in, yeah. And I don't know, because it feels like this is something that we're us and Will talked in text for a little bit. There are things Last of Us is made by Sony. It's made Sony first party or whatever. It kind of makes sense that is made for their one platform and that goes or whatever. when it's something like this is a third-party game that's going everywhere, and this is just like one character. I can't help but see it any other way that this is just a money heading. It's just like, Sony's putting out money to be like, we want Spider-Man to be associated with us. Yeah. As you can see online, Spider-Man is very much already associated in people's minds with Sony, and they just want to keep that going.
Yeah. I've seen people like, I don't know why you guys are complaining. Obviously, this is part of Sony's business strategy. It's like, it is. It's smart. It's obviously working, but that doesn't mean we still can't call out for being shitty.
I freaking hate. There's two things I hate so much in video game discourse. Number one is why didn't you expect this? As if that's a reason to accept something.
Yeah, that leak happened, but we didn't have to exactly. It's like, I thought that might have been too ridiculous to happen, and now people are like, oh, you should expect this. Well, people even said like, you should expect this all along.
Well, and just because you expect the shitty thing doesn't mean that it's not a shitty thing. That you can still call it out for being a shitty thing. And then, I already forgot number two. The thing you just said.
Well, the whole thing of it's a smart business move, so it's okay.
Right, yeah. The fact that, like, I don't care about Sony's bottom line because I don't earn anything for Sony's bottom line. I care about what's best for consumers. Yeah. And this is something that, like, Sony has all the right. Like, obviously, this is very, very good for Sony. Clearly, I don't care, and you shouldn't care. That's
so I'm going to answer this. Is obviously not good for consumers whatsoever.
No, there's no.
And I'm going to make an argument for why it's not even good for Sony consumers.
Yeah.
So they I might be remembering this wrong. I think they may announce this was originally going to have crossplay in it and then took back on at some point.
Right.
This is probably one of the main reasons why, if not the reason why, there's no crossplay.
Which is, if so, is just astronomically stupid.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Is it? I should have researched this. I apologize. Wasn't it? It was going to be crossplay and everything, but now it might just be Xbox and PC. I should probably stop talking because I don't know.
They did say cross-generation in the last thing. Okay. Like they said, like, between PS4 and PS5, Xbox and Xbox One. I don't know if they ever actually said the crossplay. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Mm-hmm. There's gaming podcasts will definitely be a little more research on that.
Yeah. So they said there was gonna be no crossplay at some point, and this is probably a big reason why. Because how are the Xbox and PC people going to feel they play with their friends or play random online, and they have freaking Spider-Man? It's like, I can't play him.
It's like, just because he's in my game. He's right there.
Literally, the files would be in your game.
Yeah. And I could see that. I could see that being a reason. And it's just like, I don't know. It's this feels like such a like just 2010 gaming move. This just feels in 2020. This feels especially out of date. And I have seen a lot of people bring up the pro PlayStation consumer argument, but like this does not make the PlayStation consumer's experience any better than if it was on Xbox.
It just makes the other ones worse.
It literally is just the thing that makes it worse for people. That is all it is. I mean, it's a very blatant money thing, and like Sony sees. I mean, this was probably something that Sony made an agreement with, like, probably a ways back, because they just assume Crystal Dynamics Avengers game, this thing's gonna sell a lot. So we want to make sure people buy it on PlayStation. And Spider-Man is a hero that probably will change the sales of this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, anyone who has multiple consoles that were thinking about getting the Xbox Series X first because of the power, or PC because obviously the power and the graphics and stuff, were like, I'm gonna get the content. Especially
if the other platforms don't have an exclusive character, which I don't think they will.
I don't think they will. And that one, in my mind, overall, this doesn't make it better for. I mean, it'll make Sony look better because they wouldn't be the only one potentially, I guess. I don't know, I'm just rambling right now. But then it'll focus more on Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics and be like, why? Yeah. Why not put these characters on every game? It's still
an obnoxious thing. Like, I wouldn't want it to be that way either.
Here's the thing. We're focused on Sony. I mean, kind of Sony's part in it, and we can get to the whole rights thing. But we need to keep on remembering to point at Crystal Dynamics / Square Enix for being okay with this. And honestly, I'm going to say a hot take at the end of this. Remind me about an exclusive Square Enix Sony thing. This might not be the craziest thing that I think might actually happen now. Square Enix and Sony need to stop doing all this exclusive shit. I get it, Final Fantasy VII Remake, but still, even
that, like, because all the recent Final Fantasies have been cross-platform, like 15 and 13, all the.
That's what I'm saying. But they had the whole, it's a Final Fantasy VII, so it's favorite place. No. I'm not arguing. No. I'm sorry, I'm not saying. I'm not arguing for a reason to. I'm saying Square Enix and Sony need to stop it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It
but doesn't make a lot of sense. Big reason why people are kind of defending the decision is because they are saying, oh, it's Sony's character, whether it be video games or just outright buying Spider-Man. It's why it's here. So it's either it'd be this or nothing. That is false.
Yeah,
Sony only owns the movie rights to Spider-Man, as far as we know. There is some stuff that will point in our direction. I will bring up, but I don't know.
I didn't read that.
So this was Sony owns the movie rights, and I guess maybe the PS4 version of them. I don't know how that necessarily works. Yeah. I don't know about that. But
I would have to imagine at least the character in
the certain character maybe. I don't know how all that kind of stuff works. Yeah, but it does not own the video game rights because obviously Spider-Man's been in dozens of video games and other platforms. And Ultimate Alliance was last year.
Right.
So other thing that people brought up, I'm gonna say the name. This is Will responded to me in a tweet that we were talking about. People not knowing that Sony the rights thing with Spider-Man, thinking Sony owned him. Grace Randolph, who is a comic book writer, worked for Marvel a little bit. She claims that, and it sounds like she used to work, and that was a little while ago. That's apparently they kind of spilled the beans that technically Sony does own just part of Spider-Man in particular, in general, but they don't say it. But that doesn't really add up. Like, just generally speaking, just because then you would think Sony's name would be connected to everything that literally has Spider-Man in it. Like,
not if they didn't own him completely. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. But
I'm just saying it sounds like if that was the kind of case, if Sony had more than just the movie rights, hands in that, there'd be a lot more like obvious Sony stuff in all this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of, but I also could see a world where Ultimate Alliance doesn't seem worth their time making it exclusive.
Well, no, I'm not talking about just games. I'm talking about everything Spider-Man. The character Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, Sony's pretty all over the movies, obviously. And then, like, now we're going to be even more so now, apparently, in the future.
Comic books, TV shows, all that other stuff that, as far as we know, they're not connected. None of that, as far as that goes, none of that adds up to Sony actually having all this say with the character besides what we know. But it's obvious.
It's obviously not completely all Sony. I think it's Crystal Dynamics also taking that check. Yeah, I don't think that... I think I generally agree that I don't think Sony has complete say over everything that happens in the character.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Something,
it seems,
but
and also, Will also texted us and something that people were saying that when Sony and Marvel talked about renewing Spider-Man movie rights and figuring that out last September, that was after Ultimate Alliance came out, so they might have done a backdoor shady deal that included video game rights.
Potentially, have we known this whole time? Does Disney own the other rights to Spider-Man?
I mean, Marvel does.
So it is Marvel owned. Like, I don't know. I mean, Spider-Man got sold off on movies.
It's like all that stuff was literally just the movie rights, as far as we know. And there's no reason. Honestly, from what I can tell, there's no reason to believe it's any different, any more than that. And the reason I don't think that argument lays with, I feel like Disney/Marvel had more negotiating power in that than, I mean, you might disagree with me, than Sony as far as the Spider-Man movie stuff went.
I don't know. Sony kind of has the character held hostage in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but
I mean, I feel like Sony was able to punch above their weight because of Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't feel like
he was almost completely out of the MCU, or is he out of the MCU? I can't even keep track of this at this
point. They got something worked out, but I don't think they have the negotiating power to do the kind of deal of like Sony gets say on any video game Spider-Man thing.
How much did Disney care about video games at that point? It's like
I just don't know if
I don't know.
And I'm just saying I don't know if if the movie rights are a pain in the butt with them, they would give them more power over the character.
if it helped them get the movie rights, if that was something that like got Sony to back down on some of their offers on movies, I think they could.
Maybe. I don't know. I just felt like Disney had more power in that. So I just felt like, I mean, and you might disagree with me,
but like I think something like games is something they would be willing to take a loss at to get more Spider-Man movies that are going to sell.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like Spider-Man needs the MCU more than MCU needs Spider-Man.
I generally agree with that kind of, but also like this is gonna end up going. Yeah, this is going way long, but it's a good conversation. Even in the movies, it got to the point where I was saying like they were talking about him leaving or Spider-Man like potentially might have to exit the MCU. I'm like, that's gonna just break this whole thing after Endgame.
Yeah,
the whole like. Everything is being built up for Spider-Man. I was even saying it's like, what the fuck is going to be the MCU if he just has to leave? So like, I don't know. I kind of disagree.
Yeah, but that completely breaks the Spider-Man movies as well. They have to stop during the Tom Holland.
They're already doing their Venom shit. Like, they'll just shove them back in there. They don't have this like very well put together universe like they do. Like, I don't know. I think most likely it's that I think most likely is that Sony doesn't have this total say, but right now Spider-Man is associated with Sony. Even in video games, even if they have no actual control over him, everyone associates him with Sony. That's just everyone does. Even back to the PS2.
Yeah,
it's like Spider-Man, PlayStation. They're married, and I think Sony wants that to stay the case. So I think they're willing to give Crystal Dynamics
lots of
cash. Big.
Oh no, I don't disagree with that.
To it's make still sure shitty. That's still it's still shitty. I mean, that's what I think is probably the most likely thing is they can't decree that Crystal Dynamics does this, but
that's kind of what my argument is saying. Like Sony doesn't have a say.
But I also don't think. But I'm not as sure as you are that can't be the case. I'm definitely. I think the door is open. I don't think it's like Sony. There's no way Sony has any say in this. Like I think the contracts for all these comic characters and especially Spider-Man is very complicated. And that whole Sony, the fact that they like it took them that long to make a deal means that there was some serious negotiating going on and there was serious bargaining. Like they came out and who's the Disney guy, main Disney guy, big
Iger,
Bob Iger or whatever, came out and said it's not happening.
Yeah,
that's how like done these discussions were. It was a serious deal, so anything could have happened from that, honestly. And it's a bummer. I hate seeing all these comic book characters ripped apart for stupid business reasons and checks being passed.
So remember, everyone, expect Marvel vs. Capcom 4 to have Spider-Man exclusive to PlayStation and Venom.
Why is all this happening? It sucks. Like Spider-Man should have been in the MCU a long time ago. Spider-Man should just be in this like big Marvel game. Period.
Yeah,
it sucks. It sucks. And yeah, I mean, I think we the thing we definitely agree on is that there's nothing pro-consumer about this whatsoever. This is just, completely. And this type of stuff has happened forever, but just like, I mean, that doesn't mean that you have to just sit here and be like, well, it's fine. It's like, same thing as crossplay. Crossplay was something that was like, people were like laughed out of the room for even like asking for it. They're like, what are you even asking for?
Sony have no reason to do that.
Or they're like, it's never gonna happen. Like, stop or whatever. It's like, well, lo and behold, here we are. It's happening left and right. It's starting to become a like, you don't have crossplay? What the hell?
Yeah.
I think this should be one of those too, where it's like, and I even take that to like, I wish Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo were not Sony exclusives. I think that's obnoxious as hell. It's a lot of these.
So when I pitched this during the video to Darby was that we would go in a bigger discussion about exclusive stuff on the main podcast potentially. About going into the kind of stuff like Deathloop, what kind of exclusives do we find acceptable, and just kind of all this crazy stuff. And because of the state of play this week, we might get a little more ammo for that discussion. And now for my potential hot take on what might be. I got a feeling, and there are rumors that are pointing to this, I think Final Fantasy 16 is going to be Sony exclusive. Or it's at least timed for a little while, and that's going to be utter BS.
I think I can totally see it. I'm not going to say you're wrong.
I mean, that doesn't hurt us at all, but...
And I could totally see Square Enix being like, well, we started putting games on Xbox and they just weren't selling enough, so back to Sony we go.
Yeah, even then, and probably what that will be is keeping it on PC as well.
Yeah,
at least for a while. Like with Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I mean, I think 15, it took a while to get onto it, but...
Yeah, it at least came to Xbox. That was more of a trying to beat on console than PC thing.
Yeah, I mean, up until 7, it seems like all the...
Oh, yeah, and Project Athia or whatever is PlayStation exclusive.
Exactly, which is
Square,
like...
stop it!
Why does that need to be PlayStation exclusive?
Stop it, Square.
I kind of hate to see it. It really is like PlayStation is like, well, we're in the lead, so let's go ahead and strangle Xbox to death.
Pretty much, like, oh, let's get all the exclusives we can. It's like,
Which is probably why it's smart that Xbox is starting to change their business model to compete in a different way. But this is going way into a deeper topic than we should here. So if you're enjoying this conversation, and I sure am, I kind of wish we were just recording a podcast right now. We could just keep talking for an hour, but it is about my bedtime. So there's a Large Gaming Podcast. Posts every Monday, so it's going to be a week from today, but...
At least the recording of this.
Yeah, when you hear it, it'll be a week from today. But look forward to that. We'll have State of Play discussions and whatever else happens in the video game industry.
Whoop whoop.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Peace.